My daughter nearly died when she was a baby because of my own carelessness. And I have a few reasons for sharing this story, but the main reason I'm going to share it is because I still feel a lot of shame over it. And shame, if you know about shame, it destroys you. So I want to talk about it. I want to tell you what happened because I feel like I need to, and it may also help other parents. I left foster care when my baby was 2 weeks old. I then went and lived with my mum for 3 months, and then me and my daughter got our own place. But this incident happened while I was still living with my mum. My daughter was 4 weeks old, 30 days old. It was about 7 p.m. and I wanted to give my daughter a bath. The way I would bathe her is I would put the baby bath in the big bath. So I did that, and after her bath, I took her into the room me and her were sleeping in. I got her dried, I got her dressed in a sleep suit. While I was dressing her, she fell asleep. I then put her in her Moses basket to take her downstairs where my mum and my sister were. Now this Moses basket had 2 handles. So in one hand, I've got both the handles, and then I support the basket with my other hand. I start to walk downstairs. I've only walked maybe 2 or 3 steps down the stairs when the cat ran up the stairs. The cat ran right in between my feet, so I tripped. But you know when you trip and you keep your footing? That's what happened. I managed to stay on my feet, so I've still got the Moses basket, and I managed to use my other hand to grab the handrail. And obviously when that happened, I was really scared, and I sort of stood still for a second because I was thinking, oh my God, that could have been so much worse. Me and my daughter could have gone tumbling down the stairs. So I stay still for a second, catch my breath. I then look in the Moses basket to make sure my daughter's okay. She's no longer in the basket. I then look down the stairs, and she's rolling down each step. The way she was rolling, and I got really bad PTSD after this, for about a year after this happened, where I would have flashbacks of it actually happening again. And I can still envision it now. She was rolling down each step, and it looked like it was slow motion. And you know how you hear people go into shock where they physically can't move? That was me. I've never been in shock like that since. When I think back, if I had run after her, because that's what it was, each one by one, I don't think she was flung from the Moses basket. I think where I had tripped, the Moses basket had tipped and she had just rolled straight out of it. In my head, if I had run after her, I probably would have reached the bottom step before she did. But I didn't move. All I did was I started screaming. The type of scream that I scrumped, I'm sorry, I have to try and make humour out of this a little bit. The type of scream that came out of my body was a sound I'd never heard myself make and didn't know it was possible for me to make. I was just screaming, and I was screaming my mum's name while still watching my daughter go down each step. I can't tell you how long it was. It felt like it was all going in slow motion, but my daughter reaches the bottom of the stairs. I'm still screaming my mum's name. My mum and my sister come out. They have no idea what's going on. And then my mum sees my daughter at the bottom of the stairs, and I think she quickly worked it out. She then shouts at my younger sister to call an ambulance. I've stopped screaming and I'm just standing there. I'm still at the top of the stairs. My mum goes into the front room with my daughter. I then sit down on the top step. I don't move. The reason I didn't go down the stairs to check on my daughter is I thought I had unalived her. I thought she was dead because she wasn't moving. She was asleep when it happened. She wasn't moving. I didn't want to go down there and see that. I genuinely thought my daughter was dead. So I just sat at the top of the step crying. What I didn't know was going on in the living room. So my sister was on the phone to an ambulance. My mum has rung our family friend who is a doctor. She lives around the corner from us. So she told my mum, I will drive you guys to the hospital. That will be quicker than an ambulance. So then my little sister says that to the ambulance people, will drive there. My mum is then shouting at me to come downstairs because her and my little sister want to get dressed to come to the hospital with me. They were still in their pyjamas. I don't even remember walking from the top of the stairs to the living room. What I do remember is sitting on the sofa and my mum putting my daughter in my arms. My daughter's biracial, but when she was born, her skin was a lot lighter than it is now. If it wasn't for her hair, she could have almost passed for white. I'm holding her and she is white, paler than me, and I'm anemic, completely washed out. I then started screaming again. I didn't mean to. I just started screaming. Because again, that was confirmation to me that my daughter is definitely not here anymore. And then I stopped screaming and I stopped looking at my daughter. I get upset with how I reacted, but at the same time, I know it wasn't a choice. I think it was my defense mechanism that I thought Essentially, and I couldn't look. I'm still holding her, but I couldn't look. There's a knock at the door. I stay still. I don't get up and answer it. So my sister goes down and answers the door. My mum then comes downstairs and we get in the car. My mum put my daughter in the car seat. My mum and family friend are sitting at the front of the car. I'm here. My daughter's in the middle in the car seat and my sister's on the other side of her. While we're driving, the hospital's probably about 10 minutes away. While we're driving, my younger sister whispers to me, she's still breathing. Two thoughts came to mind. I thought either she's lying or, okay, she is breathing, but she definitely must have some sort of brain injury. There's no way a 30-day-old baby can go down every step like that and not be physically unharmed. I don't like to make my videos more than 10 minutes, so like and comment for part 2 and I will post it straight away. So we get to the hospital. I'm carrying the car seat, but I'm not looking inside it. I couldn't do it. I wanted to, I couldn't. We then want to rush straight to the children's A&E. So my mum goes up to a security guard and says, can you show us where it is? This was the only guy we could see. And I remember he started to lead us down this hallway. And then he turned around and he was like, oh, sorry, this is the wrong way. My mum screamed at him and was like, tell us where we need to go. A 4-week-old baby has fallen down the stairs. That's when it really hit me, hearing someone actually say that out loud. This nurse heard my mum say that, so she came running over and led us to the right place. They've asked me to take her out of the car seat and put her on the bed, so I managed to do that. They then asked me to undress my daughter so they could check her for bruises, broken bones, things like that. And I can see her eyes are half open, but they're really glazed. I couldn't undress her. I went to reach for the poppers on her sleeping suit and then I backed off because in my head, I felt like I've already done enough damage. I should not be dealing with my own child right now. I've already done enough. And I just went, I'm sorry, I can't. And I just took a couple of steps back. And they were great. I mean, I feel so much guilt about that to this day, but those nurses were great. They didn't say anything to me. They didn't give me any funny looks. They just took over and did it. She was completely fine. My baby, my beautiful baby Brooke, she's nearly 12. And I think that's why this is easier to talk about now, because it was nearly 12 years ago. She was fine. Not one single scratch, not one single bruise on her. They did some scans. She was completely fine. And they said what they think really helped was that she was asleep when it happened, because when you're awake your body is more tense, and that's normally when people break bones, when they're awake. Nothing was wrong with her. What then really scared me was because I was a care leaver, because even though I'd left foster care, me living with my mum was simply because I could not live with the foster carer I had been living with, and I was waiting for my own place. But I was still a care leaver. I was still under the leaving care team, and it's on my hospital notes that I was in care or had left care. I knew the hospital had an obligation to tell social services what happened. Social services weren't just all over me already because I was a care leaver, but also I had had a child while in foster care. And statistically, if you have a child when you're in foster care, your baby is more likely to be taken away from you than if you weren't in foster care. So instantly, I'm also panicking, not just for my daughter's health, but I'm now panicking that social services, they're going to be involved. They are going to know about this incident and they're going to punish me for it. So I start crying again because I think even though I didn't lose my daughter in that way, I'm about to lose her in another way. I thought social services, they're going to take her from me. I decided the next day, because we had to stay, even though my daughter was fine, we had to stay in hospital overnight. I rang social services myself the next day to tell them what happened. And I told the hospital that I was ringing them, but I also said to, the nurses, I know you have to do it as well, so that's fine. So social services, when I spoke to them, they thanked me for telling them and then said they would meet me at my house the next day. So yeah, the next day my mum drives me and my daughter home, back to hers. They really surprised me. They did not say anything horrible. There was no threats of taking her away. There was no threats of a child protection plan, which is what I thought would also happen. They were just like, no, these things happen. They did not punish me and they never brought it up again. It's in my foster care records that happened, but they didn't even write anything bad. They just said there was an incident where my daughter fell down the stairs. They did not punish me. Another reason I'm telling this story is I've recently started to tell some of my friends about that incident. Again, like I said, to get over this shame of it. I told Reese and he went, oh yeah, something like that happened to me. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I didn't fall down the stairs, but one time he said when he was 3 years old, he got out of the car, his mum shut the car door, not realising his hand was right there, and she shut his whole hand in the car door. And then another one of my family friends, she said that there was a time where her child was in the car seat in the car. She undid the buckle, went to the boot to get some shopping, pulled the car seat out of the car, completely forgotten that she'd undid the buckle, and her baby fell out and hit the pavement. Now, obviously, these things aren't good, but I wish mums would share more stories like that. And I know why we don't. It's because we're embarrassed and we think people are going to judge us. Like, trust me, I'm worried now people are going to think I'm a really bad mum. I think it's important to show this really terrifying side of motherhood that people don't talk about, that you do make mistakes, and some of them can end really badly, and some of them it's just pure luck. It's pure luck that my daughter did not end up with any permanent injuries. While these accidents are not good, they happen. And I didn't walk up and down the stairs with my daughter for about 4 months after that. I made someone else take her up and down the stairs because I was too scared to. But yeah, I don't know if this story helps anyone, but it's definitely helped me be less ashamed and feeling like I've been hiding something.